I'm gonna tell you why that's not true. And I'm saying it as fact. This is not opinion. Alright. Now, the ideal of saying the customer is the boss, that can be disputed. Just like the customer is always right. That can be disputed. But that's if you take it literally. You know what I'm saying? The customer is always right is not a literal, it's not a literal term. You know what I'm saying? It's not literal. It just means that the customer is a priority. And damn well they are. We are. Let me help y'all understand the difference between a consumer and a customer. Okay? There is a difference. It's a slight difference. Not really important, not too important, but it's a slight difference. The difference between a customer and a consumer. A customer is the person or the people that buys the product. Okay? The consumer is the person or the people that uses the product, and most likely on a regular basis or whatever. You know, scratch that. The consumer is the motherfucker that uses the product. The consumer uses the product. Okay, cool. So at any given time, a consumer can become a customer simply by buying a product. Not that important. You know. So in other words, if I became a customer and I bought soap, okay, and somebody else liked the soap, and I was like, you know what, I'll get you one too. I bought them a soap, gave it to them, and they use it. Okay, they're a consumer. All right, big fucking deal. Anyway, that's the difference between a customer and a consumer. Back to what I was saying. For any business, and I do mean any business, selling anything or doing anything, needs a customer. Most businesses focus their entire business or their entire business plan based off of the customer. Here's how that works. All right, the business is created based off of what the customer wants. Maybe consumer demand. All right. So person, people becomes a business, and they formulate their business off of that ideal of what the customer's needs. Once that's done, it doesn't stop there because it has to continue. So they create it, they put it out there. Once a person becomes a customer, they then become a promoter for that product and that company. This is how a business then gets more customers, you know, from, you know, consumers. And the better the product, the more customers, the more money. All right. Is the customer the boss? Yes, the customer is the boss. Why is the customer the boss? Okay, because if the business doesn't get any customers, they don't get any sales, and they don't get any profit. So that means there's no what? Anybody. Exactly. Right. That's right. You're exactly right. There's no business. And how a business survives basically is based on how well they sell their product better than their competition. How can one customer, one unsatisfied customer or consumer take a stance against an entire business? He says that the community isn't big enough to compete with them. All right, that's some bullshit. That's some bullshit. Because I'm gonna say this right here. The reason why it's bullshit, because if he didn't feel like the community wasn't large enough to make a difference, there wouldn't have been a community to begin with. He wouldn't be a part of what we know as the SIM standard. All right. So that's bullshit. And they're just not, to me, they're not being honest about what their purpose is or what their purpose has become. And it's fine. You know, it's fine. But they still hold the name, the SIM standard. And the standard isn't being upheld. But that's been said 100 million motherfucking times. And hadn't mattered to them yet. Alright, so never mind that. The community is definitely large enough to compete. What what we don't have enough of is community support. See, the ideal is, or what I mean by that is, you have the SimHeadsUnited, which is actually holding the standard or defending the standard of simulation football video games. Okay, then